If Matt Nagy has a job tomorrow after what just went down here in Chicago today, okay, against the Baltimore Ravens, going up against a backup quarterback, making his first start ever in the NFL. If he has a job after what transpired here today at Soldier Field, I'm going to completely lose my mind. Obviously, I know he's not going to get fired tomorrow because the Bears aren't smart enough. They're not bold enough to make a smart move like this, even though they really should, because make no mistake about it, guys, only bad, terrible coaching staffs lose games like this. Obviously, the Bears don't have the most talent in the world, guys. Like, I think we all realize that, right? Like, we have a big hole at cornerback number 2. Kindle Vildor is probably the worst starting cornerback in the NFL right now. We have holes in the receiving core, okay? Without Allen Robinson, without Darnell Mooney, the rest of our guys just don't get open consistently enough. And even Mooney, even though he had a fantastic stat line, okay, 5 receptions for 121 yards and a touchdown, he also had a few key drops in this game. And there's questions about him being a number 1, okay? I don't think he's a number 1 in this league, obviously. Like, we need a true number 1. Mooney is a nice number 2, but, like, we don't have a very good receiving core either right now. But taking all of that into account, guys, going up against a backup, making his first ever start in the NFL, to lose a game to a team led by that guy, to a team that's missing so many players all over the roster. And obviously, I know the Bears have injuries too, but man, we got handed a gift by the football gods by not having Lamar Jackson in this game. And the Chicago Bears and Matt Nagy definitely did not take advantage whatsoever. We lost this game 16-13, going up against the 32nd ranked pass defense in the NFL. The Chicago Bears could only put up 13 points the entire game. They could barely move the football for the majority of this game, like we've seen so many times in the Matt Nagy era. And now Matt Nagy is 0-4 after the bye. He's lost after the bye every single year. And at this point, guys, that's no coincidence, okay? To lose every single time after the bye, for your team to never be prepared ever after the bye, for them to lose games like this to backup quarterbacks, which he's done multiple times before in the past too, right? Like, he lost a game to Teddy Bridgewater after the bye. He lost a game to Brock Osweiler after the bye in 2018. And now he lost a game to Tyler Huntley after the bye, which honestly might put that might be the end of Matt Nagy in Chicago. Okay, I still think the Bears are not going to fire him during the season because they aren't smart enough to do that, but I can't see any way in which Matt Nagy is coming back now, okay? Because this is flat out embarrassing, guys. Like, this is like getting to 2014 levels of embarrassment, where we're losing games to teams that we have no business losing to, even given the talent on our roster, okay? A better coach 100% wins a game like this, which is what John Harbaugh did, okay? John Harbaugh is a very good coach, and he found a way to win with a backup quarterback that's never started a game before in the NFL, even though his quarterback got sacked like 6 times in this game. Our defense actually was pretty good in this game for the majority of the game, but they obviously choked at the end there on that final drive where there was another blown coverage, which has happened way too many times now in the Sean Desai era. So there's definitely some question marks about Sean Desai now as well. I feel like obviously he doesn't have the most talent to work with though. Like, Kindle Vildor is by far probably the worst cornerback in the league right now, right? Like, he had a couple defensive pass interference calls. He's allowing the highest passer rating, I think, in the entire NFL among all the cornerbacks. So he's been pretty bad. Our nickel corner has been pretty bad as well. He's been missing a lot of key guys like Eddie Jackson, Khalil Mack, obviously, but there's no excuse, man, for what happened at the end of this game, okay? The Chicago Bears still should have won this game if our defense just could hold up, but they choked yet again, and this time to Tyler Huntley, which is just flat out embarrassing. Now, obviously, they still are not the main reasons why we lost this game, even though they are one reason why we lost. They are not the main reason why we lost, because the main reason, obviously, why we lost is that we only scored 13 damn points being at home, going up against the 32nd ranked passing defense. And we obviously had 2 different quarterbacks, you know, playing in this game. Okay, Justin Fields got the start. He got hurt in the middle of the game, which, you know, he should have taken the check down there, man. Like, that's one thing I definitely think that Justin Fields has to work on. It's on protecting his body and taking the check down sometimes when the big plays aren't there, okay? If he got the check down to, you know, Montgomery, that would have been a first down probably, and he would have stayed in the game. So sometimes Fields is trying to do too much, but I also can't fault him too much for what happened today, because even though he obviously did miss a couple throws, our offense is so insanely broken, guys. Like, among so many different quarterbacks, it just never works, and that's because the play caller, the teacher of this offense is not a good coach. Okay, Matt Nagy is not a good coach at all. His offense does not work with any starting quarterback. Now, obviously, we did have a couple very big explosive plays in this game. Fields had a couple to begin this game. He had a very nice pass to Mooney, a nice strike to Goodwin as well. And, Fields, he didn't really pass that much, right? Like, he only had, I think 4 or 5 passes completed before he went out. But pretty much all of them were big plays going down the field. So there were some explosive plays that we got. But every single time, man, when it got time to converting the big third down or, moving the chains close to the goal line, we just always failed to do that, okay? And the worst play call, obviously, in this entire game was on that sweep on 3rd and 4, okay? Fields was rolling at that point, okay? It's looking pretty accurate through the air. Our offense is moving the football down the field pretty well. And we called a sweep on a 3rd and short, which I just do not agree with that call at all, guys. Like, trust your quarterback in that situation to pick up the first down for you through the air, because he was doing pretty well up to that point, but obviously, we didn't get the run, or Monty didn't get the first down, and that ruined pretty much all of our momentum. And then Cairo Santos also somehow missed a field goal, that's very uncharacteristic of Santos, okay, to miss a field goal. And that also factored into the final results of this game. So that's pretty much where things started to fall apart, and then they got worse throughout the rest of the half, okay, because we didn't score a single damn point in the first half, okay, going up against the 32nd ranked passing defense. We could not muster even a single point of offense against that team, which is flat out pathetic. And I've already talked about these issues in detail in other videos, but I just truly do think it's a teaching and a scheming problem, okay? Because even though we don't have the best receivers, other coaches are able to do so much more with so much less. Now, obviously, then in the second half, Justin Fields got hurt, Andy Dalton got in, and then 2 plays later, we already score a big 63-yard touchdown, which really wasn't anything that Andy did. Okay, it was a screen pass that Darnell Mooney took to the house, but the energy when Andy first came in, that was obviously good and all, but it didn't really last, okay? Because after that huge touchdown by Darnell Mooney, we couldn't score or move the football at all until the end of this game on that 4th and, I think it was 4th and 6, okay? And I do have to say, man, that 4th and 6 bomb down the field by Andy Dalton to Goodwin, that was a beautiful ball by Andy, okay? So I was pretty hype at that moment. Andy had ice running down his veins, and deserves a ton of credit for that, okay? For being clutch when it mattered the most. So props to Andy, man, for doing what he could, but he also wasn't great in this game either, guys. Like, aside from those 2 plays where one was a wide open pass and the other was a screen pass, it's not that he did that much better than Justin Fields. Obviously, the short passing game is way better with Andy because he is a veteran and he's done that for like 10 plus years now in the NFL. So he is better at some things than Justin Fields is, but obviously Justin Fields should be starting for the rest of the season. I saw a couple guys in my comment section, other comment sections say that, oh, we should start Andy now for the rest of the season. Maybe Justin Fields isn't as good. Relax, guys, okay? Andy had 2 pretty good passes, and then one was a screen pass, okay? So props to Andy, man, but don't overreact too much, okay? Justin Fields still is the future, and he still should be starting for the rest of the season if he is healthy, which I'm praying and hoping he is healthy, because otherwise it's going to be really sad to watch the rest of the season, because obviously we're not going to make the playoffs now. I mean, it's damn near impossible being at 3-7, so playoffs are pretty much out of the picture. You're pretty much just trying to develop your young quarterback now for the rest of the season, even though I feel like our offensive coaching staff is the worst in the NFL right now. But that's pretty much it for the video, guys. I don't have much else to say about this game, simply because I can't muster enough energy to talk about this pathetic team anymore, at least today, okay? I'm pretty mad at them right now because they keep on ruining my Sundays every single week, okay? Being a loyal diehard fan, it really does hurt your heart when your team is this bad, because man, we truly do deserve better, okay? And I still think the future is going to be bright with Justin Fields, because he's shown a lot during the season, even with having the worst offensive coaches in the NFL. So I think the future can be bright if we do hire the right coach. But right now, we have the wrong coach here for Justin Fields, and it's not going to be pretty until we find the right coach. Leave your thoughts down below, guys, and I'm not going to say bear down today because that was so freaking embarrassing.